goodness, welcome back. Are you still interested in learning how to play Maliss in the big 2026? I think you should be, because it is my all-time favorite deck, and I made a video introducing what like Maliss is as an archetype, and now I want to show you my deck list and take you through a couple test hands. Yes, it has been through some consistency hits in the fact that there aren't as many Maliss names as we would like to have in the deck, but it is still a very fun deck, very playable. And yeah, I totally think you should learn to play Maliss in 2026. And if you haven't played Maliss in a while, but you want to get back to playing Maliss and you want to see an example of a deck list that I think works, then yeah, keep watching. Let's get into it. Let me show you my favorite deck ever, Maliss. Okay, so let's get into my deck list. A lot of it's pretty standard. Some people do things a little bit differently, but the very standard part is going to be the Maliss name. So 1 white rabbit, 1 dormouse, 3 Chessy Cat. Here's where you'll see people do things a little bit differently. I am playing 3 March Hare simply because I feel like we already lost a white rabbit. We're already down to 1 dormouse. Taking out a March Hare, while it is definitely not the best starter, it is a great starter to open up with like Chessy in order to get the draw too. So those are the Maliss names. In terms of other Maliss cards, we have 2 Maliss and Undergrounds. I do have another super shiny version, but currently in my deck, I am using my OCG one. I will switch it out for tournaments though, because it's not actually tournament legal. And then 1 Maliss in the Mirror, and then 1 TB11 and 1 MTP. I think 2 MTPs could potentially, I'm not necessarily saying make it more consistent, because drawing these with no Maliss names is not ideal. It can cause for some interruption, specifically like TB11, because you could summon Red Ransom from your extra deck during your opponent's turn. But right now, I'm just doing 1. So this is the Maliss part of the Maliss deck. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 cards. Okay, so that is the Maliss portion. Other engine pieces, I guess we could call them, is 1 Wizard and 3 backup Adignisters. Not the best starter, but this can still also get you going, at least. Let's see. Other, what I would say, engine pieces that are necessary is I'm running 3 Allures. I have seen lists with 2. I think 3 is necessary, again, because this deck does suffer to a brick syndrome, where you draw a hand and you're like, am I playing Maliss? Because I don't see any Maliss here. So I think that's necessary. I'm also running Terraforming in this, again, because starting with the field spell at least gets you into Maliss names. So I think this could be considered another piece of like engine, and also 1 gold Sark. Let me look through this to see if anything else could be considered engine. Not necessarily engine per se. I think like the middle of the road would be the Bistrels. So I am doing 1 Druis Worm, 1 Magnuma, 1 Baldrake. I know some lists do not do the Baldrake. I personally like running all 3. So if we're counting this as engine, we said what, 13, 1, 2. Well, this isn't necessarily engine. These are just Maliss names. These 3 to draw don't really get you anywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 22 cards that you can like kind of do something with, which means the rest is the non-engine, which is what makes Maliss so powerful, is we have access to a lot of great non-engine. So when you brick, if you brick on a bunch of non-engine and you do sequence it right, you have a chance of getting another turn. So I am playing 3 Ash Blossoms. I do want us to appreciate the shine. I almost have this deck max rarity'd. Couple things I still need. The Allures, Ghost Spell. I do have 2 Starlights, but I believe I have my second Ghost Spell in Fairy Tale. My second Starlight one. I want OG Starlights of Ghost Spell. That one we're waiting on. Those are, and I guess one other hand trap would be, our favorite card, the Starlight Shifter. In terms of traps, I am playing 3 Imperms. I love Imperm. I think because it's not once per turn, and especially in a deck like Maliss where you can draw a lot, you can get into multiple Imperms, and being able to get into multiple Imperms means just forcing interaction. I also like when I have an imperm waiting to see what my opponent's end board is going to be, and then using the imperm on my turn immediately, like to force interaction before I play anything. And then here's the cards that I think really make the deck so powerful. 3 Dominus Sparks and 3 Dominus Impulses. We have access to all the Dominus cards. You could also play Purge in this deck. I am doing 3 Sparks, 3 Impulse. So yeah, that's the deck. I'm 98.2% positive. We're at an even 40, but let me kind of lay it out so you can see like the whole main deck in one view, and I'll also count it for you. Okay, so here's the deck. I'm sure someone is going to be like, that is the least. It is 40 cards. I don't know how to like aesthetically lay all of this out. But here's the deck. 40 cards. We are looking at, if we want to talk like pure gas, pure engine, any of the Maliss names are going to be able to get you somewhere. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Maliss names. Backup Adignister and Wizard can get you somewhere. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 19, like for sure can get you somewhere. If you add in the Bistrels, we're kind of at like half and half, which is why I say that there is an issue with bricking. I would not let that dissuade you though, because like I said, the powerful non-engine, it's not like you're bricking on things that are not going to be useful. The fact that we can have Spark and Impulse and have the Magnamuts, like, or the Bistrels, I think it's still an amazing deck to play. So anyway, this is the main deck. Let me go ahead and show you the extra deck, and then we're going to do some test hands, and I can try to walk you through a couple combo lines. So if you're trying to pick up Maliss in the big 26, I can kind of help you along your journey. Okay, so the extra deck I have gone through various renditions of, and I really have leaned into card draw to try to help with the bricking. I'll show you what I mean by that. So the entire extra deck is links. It is a link deck. So playing 1 SB, playing a Link Spider to deal with Nib, a Link Disciple. This is important for the card draw, which is the Heat Soul, and then playing a Lingribo, and also playing an Almirage. So the reason for, and I'll also show you some of this with the reasoning for some of these cards. So Link Spider is for Nib. Link Disciple is going to be for Heat Soul, which I'll show you in a second. And the reason for Lingribo and for Almirage is because Almirage is how if we semi-brick. So if we draw any hand trap and we have a backup Adignister or even a Wizard Adignister. Now, obviously, backup is going to be way better. So if we read Almirage, it says it just takes 1 normal summon monster with 1,000 or less attack, which is basically going to be our hand traps. And because it is Cyber, so we can normal into a hand trap, go into Almirage, and then if you read Backup or Wizard, they both have the same thing. If you control a Cyber monster that was special summoned in the X deck, you can special summon this card from your hand. Is this the best? No, but Almirage I think is necessary in order to try to unbrick your hand, because it's going to turn your hand traps into Cybers to allow you to special. Lingribo takes 1 level 4 or lower Cybers monster, so this is just the link one that we can go into from any of our Maliss names or our backup Adignisters. Link Disciple also takes 1 level 4 or lower Cybers monster, so same thing. And again, Link Spider is there for the Nib. SB is just there for when you're like SB pass, you got nothing else to do. Other important links are Cybers Wicked. If you watched the Sam v Rico YCS Columbus feature match, you'll know why Wicked is super good. It's also just part of one of our normal style combos. Also, Lizard. It is important to note that Lizard is a reptile, and this will come up for Transco Talker. So Lizard, along with having a different attribute, because part of the strategy is making access code and banishing different attributes. So we have a light, we have a water, and then Transco Talker is also earth. Transco Talker's second effect to Reborn, though, you can't have summoned, let me just read you verbatim what it says. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect except Cyburst monsters. So if you do Lizard, you can't do the second effect of Transcode. We also have Heat Soul. Heat Soul is another way to draw cards. So Heat Soul says you can pay 1,000 life points, draw 1 card. But Heat Soul does require 2+ Cyburst monsters with different attributes, which is why we want to have the Link Disciple as our 1, which is light. So that's you have to play Link Disciple if you're going to play Heat Soul, or you have to play a Cyburst monster that is not dark, because basically everything else in here is dark. Also playing Protect Code Talker, Firewall Dragon, and then here's kind of like the meat and potatoes of the extra deck is we have our Access Code Talker. So this is again how you can clear a board and go for game. This says your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's effect activation. If this card's Link summoned, you can target 1 Link monster that was used as Link material, and this card gains attack equal to the Link rating times 1,000. You can banish 1 Link monster from your field or graveyard, destroy 1 card your opponent controls, non-targeting by the way. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot banish monsters with that same attribute, which is why we want to have water, we want to have light, we obviously have a lot of dark, All Mirage is fire, we have earth, so that way we can try to clear the board, and then because it's going to get, you're probably going to use a Link 3 to get into this, so it's going to be at 5,300. This is the way that you can go for game. We also have our level 5, this is our negate, so we have our, Link 5. Access code Adignister, which says if this card is special summoned, you can special summon as many Cyburst monsters with 2,300 attack. Our choices for that are Protect Code has 2,300, Transcode Talker has 2,300, and then both of the Maliss ones have 2,300. To zones that this card points to. And if you do, this card gains 500 attack for each. You can't special summon though from the extra deck after you do this, so this tends to be the very last thing that you're going to want to do. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you contribute 1 of your Link monsters this card points to and negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. So good, very good negate to have set up. And then we have our 2 Maliss girlies. I am only playing 1 of each of these. I am not that concerned about Cool Tune to start messing with like, I think if you want to start doing meta-specific things, that is perfectly okay. But I think on a base level of what Maliss is, this is like a pretty general Maliss thing. And I wouldn't really start taking things out or adding things until you know what your locals is like. If you really are having an issue with Cool Tune banishing one of your, your Maliss names and you want to add another one, then I think that's when you do it. I don't think you preemptively do it off of the idea that like you're going to see a bunch of decks that are banishing from your extra deck. So we have 1 Red Ransom. She's really good as well because if she is pointing to a monster, she flips the attack and defense of all of your opponents. So while this card points to a monster, the original attack and defense of all effect monsters your opponent controls are switched, which is why I'm saying because TB11 can summon a Link monster if your opponent has 3 or more cards. So this is something that you can do to get a body out on your opponent's turn if you had TB11, and then also switch. And then we have Cryptor. This is our amazing interruption. I saw for a minute on TCG that this version of Cryptor was going for like an insane amount. I don't think it's going for that anymore. I just don't know if it got bought out. I don't know what was happening. If it was like ban list, hyper scare. So quick effect, you can target 1 of your banished Maliss cards, shuffle into the deck, and if you do banish 1 card on the field, while this card points to a monster, the effect and activation cannot be negated. If this card is banished, you can pay 900, special summon, and double its attack. So if you watch the intro to Maliss, you should remember that all of the main deck Maliss names have the pay 300 to summon themselves back, and that the Link Maliss names have the pay 900 to summon themselves back, and then they have various effects. So this is the extra deck. Again, I already talked about what these do. I honestly think doing some test hands and trying to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing and the point of these various monsters that we have in here is probably going to be the most helpful. So let's just do a couple test hands with the Maliss deck. I can try to walk you through what some of the cards do. And even if you're not planning on playing Maliss, this, you can still learn what they do. So you are not in the position Sam is, where you don't realize that Wicked actually is kind of busted. Okay, I want to try to do some very linear or more combo-oriented test hands, like really just trying to show you like, okay, how do we get into Cryptor? Let's just take a very basic level. What do the Maliss cards do? What are our hands looking like in the test hands? Let's try to get into Cryptor. Keep in mind that there are some standard combos that I can also I'll probably do just an actual combo video, like in a separate video of Maliss. Please don't get stuck in the idea though of like the combo line is the combo line. There's so many things you can do with Maliss, and that is, I think, the beauty of the deck. But let's do a couple test hands and just see, you know, can we get into Cryptor? What can we do with just a couple test hands of Maliss? So shuffle her up. 1, 2, oh my gosh. You just need one. Okay. Again, you want to set the traps. Traps are really important to get set first, because it's going to be your insurance. We're going to have to normal summon the Dormouse. So if the Dormouse gets sent to grave, if it tries to get sent back to hand, if it tries to get popped, whatever's going to happen to it, you can use your Maliss traps on your turn if you banish. So I think, to keep them guessing, I mean, this Impulse and Imperm also go crazy. I'm going to move those to the side, though. I think I'm going to set the TB11. Okay. Normal Dormouse. If they try to interact with it, you activate TB11. It's going to get banished. It'll go ahead and come back. Dormouse is not the ignition. Dormouse is not on summon effect. It's an ignition effect. So ignition effect to banish one of our Maliss names. If you watch the original video where I was talking about like, oh, you want to learn to play Maliss, then you will know that our little Maliss names all have the pay 300. So we're going to banish White Rabbit on a new chain. We'll pay 300. Summon White Rabbit back. White Rabbit is an on summon effect to set a trap from your deck. So actually, we cannot use that effect. That will be a towel. Your opponent will know that you still have one of the other traps in hand because can't use the effect. So at this point, I guess thinking through it, it would have been fine to just set both, because I guess, well, the reason I wouldn't set both is because if they have a way to try to pop your spells, MTP is a really good spell to try to end on, because if you control a link monster and you activate it on your opponent's turn, you also get to non-target banish one of your opponent's cards. So you add one Maliss monster from your deck to your hand, and then if you control a Maliss link monster, you can banish one card on the field. So it's not even banish one of their monsters. You get to non-target banish a card. So this one I would keep in hand, just because if they have any way to try to pop the back row, like, they're going to know you have it. Yes, you would have ended up having out the White Rabbit. No effect on the White Rabbit, though. Okay, from here, we're just going to do kind of a standard line. The standard line that you're going to see a lot with Maliss is we use these two to go into Lizard. No, Lizard is not a Cyberse, and it is Wada. So the fact that it's not a Cyberse is going to turn us off from being able to use the Transcode Talk or Reborn effect later, but that's kind of like, that's not like in a typical line. I just want to show you like a typical line. Haggard Lizard, we are going to, for cost, banish a card from grave and then target the lizard itself, or you can target any monster and its attack is going to become the attack of the banished monster. So because it's cost, we're going to go ahead and banish the Dormouse. Dormouse effect, pay 300, come back, and now we can go into Red Ransom, which just takes 2 monsters, including a Maliss monster. Red Ransom on summon effect is going to allow us to search a spell trap. We are going to search, let me search the English version for you. We're going to go ahead and search Maliss and Underground. Maliss Underground says when this card is activated, you can banish 1 Maliss card from your hand, deck, or graveyard. That's really cool because you can banish from grave. So while Maliss, I would not say is the best at a grind game, because you normally want to try to like go for game as soon as possible, it does have the ability. So we're going to then activate Maliss Underground. If you're playing against Maliss, go spell this. It is a card that does the effect on activation. So if you go spell it, it goes to grave. So Maliss Underground is definitely one to hit. Also, if your opponent opens with Maliss Underground, it's normally a sign they don't have anything else. So if you can stop the Maliss Underground, that's your best bet. Personally, is I've had that happen to me, because if you negate the activation of a field spell like Maliss and Underground that says when this card is activated, you can banish 1 Maliss card, then it goes to grave. So that's why it goes to grave, because you're negating the activation and it says when this card is activated. So personally, that's my tip on what you should hit. Unless you're playing against me. Don't do it to me. What have I ever done to you? I've been nothing but nice to you. I'm teaching you how to play the deck. Why would you do that to me? Don't do that to me. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and banish the Chasey Cat. Chasey Cat will pay 300 and be able to reborn itself. At this point, I do think in order to get into the Cryptor, because Cryptor does take 3 monsters. Let's see. I am going to go ahead and use the TB11, banishing the ransom for cost. This is going to let us summon a Maliss name. It will be negated though. So I'm just going to go ahead and summon a hare. Red ransom, pay 900. It will come back. Also important to note, part of red ransoms, if the pay 900 is cost, if the summon from banishment goes through, you banish a Maliss name from deck. That's part of the summoning it from banishment part. People will be like, what are you doing? How are you summoning? Like, that's part of the effect. The effect to reborn herself from banishment also requires this, which is why she's so good. We're going to go ahead and banish a hare, because hare, we can add back. You can add back any Maliss name from banishment with hare. She's the only one there, so we're going to go ahead and add her back. Okay. Now at this point, because we are going to also be able to summon the hare. So I'm just trying to think. We probably want to actually save the hare for an interruption to get red ransom out on our opponent's turn. So if we're just going simple, well, actually we need to get something banished. So I would need to use the hare now. A big mistake I is making Cryptor and having no Maliss names in banishment. It does you no good. It does you no good. You need to have a Maliss name in banishment. So we do need to use this hare now in order to get a Maliss name in banishment. You could also MTP to do it, but MTP works better as an interruption. So like at this point, we're having to choose between MTP interruption on our opponent's turn or a hare interruption. If we're going into Cryptor, you have to have something banished or it's not going to do you any good. So I would even say before committing to Cryptor, I would get something banished. So I would attempt a special hare, banish the Dormouse. You just have to have something banished. Now, the summon itself, the reborn effect of all of the Maliss monsters is once per turn. So that's how the Dormouse is going to stay in banishment. Okay, now that we have something banished, we can go into Cryptor. I guess we could just use the 3 small ones. Well, I want her pointing to a monster, because it says, while this card points to a monster, the effect and activation can't be negated. So at this point, you have to think about where you're summoning stuff with the pointing. I will say that's something that I do struggle with Maliss. I think like higher level players, like really good players with it, do think through. Because what would have been better is having the red ransom in the middle. Because you're going to see how this points to either side. Because then we could use these 3. And now Cryptor is pointing to a monster. And we would have the negate live. So yeah, this would be just like very basic. I mean, I don't even know if I'd call it basic. It's pretty good, but this is our end board. MTP is going to allow us to add a Maliss monster from deck to hand. We would add hare. So we would be able to reborn the white rabbit in order to, well, we can't set anything because we've already used both of them, but we would be able to get one of these back. Another thing too is MTP is going to let us non-target banish because we control a link. So what I would do is pretty early on in the turn, whenever there's something I want to banish, MTP, add back the hare. Also, if either of these end up going to grave, the hare is how we get it back. So you might not even want to use the hare as an interruption, because we also have Cryptor to target the Dormouse to shuffle it back into the deck in order to non-target banish something. The thing you would want to maybe use hare, search off the MTP for, is if red ransom is pointing to a monster, the attack and defense of all effect monsters are switched, and that might be a really good thing to do, depending on what your opponent summons. So that might be a reason to get hare out. And also hare says your opponent cannot target Maliss link monsters that point to this card. So could also be another reason that you'd want to get hare out. But that's why I would search off of the MTP. So we have MTP, non-target banish, and a search. Cryptor, non-target banish. We have an imperm, and we have an impulse. So that's a lot of interruptions just off of a very basic, like, just getting into Cryptor gave us a lot of things to do. Okay, let's go ahead and do another test hand. Again, just seeing how we can get into Cryptor. Obviously, drawing Dormouse is the best case scenario. It is a one of those, so I want to try to realistically show you what the hands can look like. Because like there's a lot of options. I do think there's definitely still gas in Maliss, but there's also times you just brick. But you normally just need like one name, and you can normally try with the other cards in hand, tend to figure it out. Okay, let's cut again, and let's see what our 5 are. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. This is not a brick completely because we have Maliss and Underground. It's normally a tell though if you start with Maliss and Underground, like I said. So this is why we play Almirage. You can only Ash once per turn. So I would normal summon the Ash. Now this is most likely going to lead them to believe that you truly don't have anything. The reason I would normal summon the Ash first is literally just to throw them off the track of Maliss and Underground. I'm just bluffing. Like at this point, this is just bluffing. You could say like, oh, why don't you just like pass? I think it's worth, you got to try the Maliss and Underground to see if you're going to get it through. Now, I'm not saying like there's no interruption that they can do per se on this. Like it doesn't have an effect is what I mean. But let's say they have something that bounces back. Let's say they have something to send to grave and they might be like, oh, normal summoned an Ash. Okay, cool. If I get rid of it, they're not gonna be able to do anything. We would then link off into Almirage. And then at this point, once they potentially have, they might have seen the bluff and been like, what are they doing? Also, though, this leads them to believe that I could have a backup Adignister, which might let the Underground go through. If they're making a read on this, they might think, what's the point of even going to the Almirage? The Ash didn't have an on-summon effect. The Almirage doesn't have an on-summon effect. Maybe they have a backup Adignister, which is going to let them search. So they might be thinking that like when I do Underground, we're just trying to bluff. Because admittedly, if the Underground gets popped, you still have 3 interruptions that they're going to have to play through. So we're not completely hopeless. We have a 0 attack Almirage out there, but it's also a 0 attack Ash that we could leave out there. So then we do Underground. Let's say, hope, pray, it goes through. Underground is going to let us banish. Our best target, our best starter is Dormouse. On a new chain, we'll pay 300. Summon back. On a new chain, as an ignition effect, we will attempt to banish from deck. If I had a Maliss card in hand, I would do Chessie to try to get more draws. But alas, I don't. White Rabbit. Bring itself back. On summon effect to set. I honestly think, because we've already brought these both back from banishment, which is also what makes starting with Underground a little tricky because we've utilized their, we've already used them, if that makes sense. So I almost think doing MTP, and then we can see if we have to use it. If we don't have to use it, cool. This might be a scenario where we have to use it. Okay, now from here, we do not do the lizard play because banishing either of these isn't going to do anything. We've already brought them both back from banishment. That's a once per turn. So we could do a Wicked play where MTP, we add back Hair, we summon Hair. That's going to get the Wicked going. We could also just go straight into Ransom. That doesn't sound very good though. So I think what I would do in this situation, I don't think I want to draw in this situation. I'm not sure what that would get me. Yeah, I think I would do Wicked. This just takes 2 Cyberse monsters. So we want to leave a Maliss monster out just for the ability to actually use MTP so we can go into Cyberse Wicked. Activate MTP, banishing the Dormouse. Dormouse isn't going to be able to come back, but now we can search Hair. We can attempt to special summon Hare by banishing the White Rabbit, which again will not be able to come back. But now, oh my gosh, we've just triggered Wicked. Wicked says whenever a monster is special summoned to a zone it points to, you can, let me read the exact order. You can banish one Cyberse monster from your graveyard, add one Cyberse tuner from your deck to your hand. The only option in this deck is backup Adignister. It's also really good. It says banish one Cyberse monster because we have Almirage. If we didn't have Almirage, we would not be able to do this. So now we're going to go ahead and get our backup Adignister. Backup Adignister is going to allow us to search and then discard. There is situations where you just search another backup Adignister and then discard it. We've already normal summoned. It does let you search a Dark Cyberse. So we could do any of the Maliss names. This might be something, honestly, we're getting another Hare in hand and discarding the Ghost. I mean, it's kind of going to depend what your interruptions are going to be. Like, obviously, Hare can be an interruption because it's a quick effect so you can special summon it on your opponent's turn. I will say in this instance, we could search the wizard and discard the wizard. We're just going to do this as deck thinning. It does not have a target. So to special summon wizard, you need to target one Dark Cyberse monster in your graveyard. We don't have that. So we're just going to deck thin a little bit and discard. I'd rather keep these. Okay. From here, we can go into Cryptor. Now, it's not going to point to anything, which isn't as good. Red Ransom would search us underground. I don't see the purpose in doing that. Cryptor needs 3 monsters. So, I'm trying to think if there's any way. I think if we're just, like I said, if we're just trying to get into Cryptor off of that hand we had, we can use all 3. We can go into Cryptor. We have Banish Malice names. We have an Imperm, we have an Ash, we have a Ghost Belt. So we have 4 interruptions for them to deal with off of just making Cryptor. Okay, one more, because this is fun. I genuinely enjoy doing stuff like this, especially just thinking through like the lines. And I do miss playing Malice. I really do love this deck. I just feel like for my own personal growth, I need to really focus on one deck. I recommend that to people who are trying to get better at the game, switching between a bunch of different decks and messing with your deck a lot. I don't think is very helpful. I think you need to try to stick to one, get as good as you can at it, and then pick up other decks. And it gets easier to pick up new decks the more you've been playing. I really stayed on Yummy for a while, and then I got on Malice, and I stayed on Malice for like 6 months or so. And then now I'm doing Fairy Tale Magistus. Okay. Oh, money. Money. This one goes crazy because in draw, you just shifter. You got a shifter when you have nothing in your graveyard, and it's shifter. So if you haven't read shifter, the buy shifter, it says if you have no cards in your graveyard, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard until the end of this turn. Until the end of the next turn, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. They're going to shut off so many people. So just like anything in draw? Yeah, shifter. On your own turn. Shifter on your own turn. Use the shifter. It does make doing the lines a little bit different because now your monsters also get banished. You're going to be perfectly fine though. In this case, Underground is not as important. I would start with Underground, and if something happens, then you can still normal. I would normal backup Adignister because it's going to let you search another Malice name. And Hare says, during the main phase of this card in your hand, quick effect, you can banish one other Malice card from your hand or graveyard. So if the backup Adignister search goes through, you can add another Malice name. That's going to let you summon the Hare, and it's like a 2-for-1 because then you also banish the one from your hand. So you basically get the 2 summons for the price of 1. We're going to start with Underground. And it's going to look very similar to last time, but keep in mind that now we don't have access to our graveyard. Everything gets banished. Dormouse is going to come back. Honestly, at this point, some people might even scoop if you shifted them. It's that bad for a lot of other decks. White Rabbit. White Rabbit, come back. White Rabbit, let's go ahead and do MTP again. So here's what I'm saying. These are just going to go straight to banishment. So doing things, we wouldn't do lizard because again, they already came back. We have backup Adignister. Hair is also not going to be able to summon itself if they don't go to grave. So I'm trying to think through the best way to do this. And like, again, goals get into Cryptor, right? If the goals get into Cryptor, we need 3. So we could link 1 and then that's going to get us our backup. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and link one of these into Lingribo. Special backup. Search and discard. So I'm going to search a Chessie. I'm going to discard a Chessie. You know what's going to happen to a discarded Chessie? It's going to go straight to banishment. Summon itself back. I do have the hair in hand. The hair is going to... I haven't normal summoned, right? Yeah, this was just off of Underground. So I could get the White Rabbit back off of a normal summon if I really wanted, because basically now what I can do, the reason I'm shuffling, is Chessie is going to banish the hair to draw 2. That's insane. And hair can either add itself back or it can add the White Rabbit back. I'm going to add hair back. Let's draw another 2. Why not? Let's do it. Oh my gosh. You do off of Allure have to, is this any card? Yeah, any card. So Allure also gets banished. Sorry, I should know what that does. But your girl forgets sometimes. You do have to banish a dark. So I think I just honestly would have to banish the Baldrake, unfortunately. Gold Sark goes crazy because this is just going to allow us to banish. We've already brought them all back. So in terms of this turn, not the best, but it will allow us to, like, if it comes back to us, we're kind of honestly set. Okay, from here, this actually, I normally do not recommend using Red Ransom to go into Cryptor, but because it's going to get banished, so we're going to go ahead and use the backup Adignister, the Lingribo, and the Dormouse to go into... Ooh, wait a second, because that's not going to be enough. Do I have to MTP here in order to do this? Because I need another Maliss name in hand. I actually think... Well, no, because the Baldrake isn't going to get us there either. Oh, it does. Wait, we have Shifter. I honestly think we're going to get rid of the hair because we need to have another monster. So we can use these 3 to go into Ransom. Ransom is going to let us, I'll show you why. Oh, wait, went to the wrong spot. Show you why I did that here in a second. So Ransom is going to let us search. I guess we can get Maliss in the Mirror. So Maliss in the Mirror says, target one face-up monster your opponent controls, banish one Maliss monster from your hand or face-up field, and if you do, negate that monster's effect until end of turn. So, a negate. The reason we kept Baldrake is because we can actually summon Baldrake by banishing the Shifter, which is so funny. And then, now that we have 3 monsters, bada bing, bada boom, goes into Cryptor. This is going to trigger Red Ransom to come back. We want to have Cryptor pointing at it. And Red Ransom, again, as part of her summoning mechanics, you can banish. I think in this instance, I'm not going to. Yeah, you can banish one Cyberse. In this instance, I'm not going to. We managed to keep MTP, though, for our opponent's turn. So we set Maliss in the Mirror. Maliss in the Mirror, you do have to banish. It is not for cost, though. The targeting your opponents. If you banish the Cryptor, it's going to come back at a 5k beef stick. If you banish the Red Ransom, it's going to come back and allow you to banish something on your opponent's turn, which is going to allow that to come back. You see where I'm going with this. MTP, a non-target banish. Cryptor, a non-target banish. Impulse, Ghost Spell. With just making Cryptor. That was kind of a... Hands like that, which I'm sure if I spent more time thinking, I could probably even come up with more stuff to do with it. That's why Maliss is still crazy. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. I love the deck. I don't know if you can tell by the fact that I could probably just keep doing test hands for the rest of the night. with this deck. It's my favorite deck. I love it. I hope I inspire some of you to play it, give you some ideas of just all the things you can do. I think it's also just like a fun, like I said, a fun deck to test hand because you can come up with so many different things to do. Don't let the consistency hits or the fear of bricking deter you too much. It is still a very, very good deck to play. And I just think the mechanic, if you are someone who is looking for a bunch of different things you can do, basically a deck that you can take in so many different directions and do so many different things, then I highly recommend Maliss. So let me know if you're going to pick up Maliss. If you're not going to pick up Maliss, that's perfectly fine too. Watching this videos can help you play against Maliss because Maliss was going to be around for a bajillion more years. Let's say bye to the baby. Come here. Come on. You got a big ol' eye boogie. Come on. Come on. Come to me. Come on. Oh my goodness. It is DINNER time. I am constantly filming around the time that he has needs. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. Okay. See you on the next one.